Well, guys, my mistake. I don't know. We want our face to be beat. That's why I said makeup artist, but we are rather joined here by the food scientist, Mr. Komeine Nantanga. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you? Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming. I just like to say, food scientist, can you just tell our viewers a brief background, like where you're from, where you were raised?
Komeine Nantanga was raised in Oshana region. I attended a high school called Oshigambo, and from there I came to the University of Namibia. I studied a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry and Environmental Biology. From there I went to do my honors at Rhodes University in inorganic chemistry. And then it's where I started to be curious about oils from Kalahari melon seeds. Then I started looking around this thing, where do you study these things? And then I later find out it's under food science.
Okay.
And then I ended up going for my master's in food science and technology at the University of Pretoria.
Wow.
And then from there I came back, worked a bit at the University of Namibia, and then went to do my PhD in Canada, the University of Guelph in Ontario, Canada.
Wow, the qualifications. I want to find out, why food scientist? Why did you decide to get into that industry? What made you want to get into that industry?
For me, it was serendipity. As I said, I was in inorganic chemistry. Then I remember my grandmother used to use these Kalahari melon seeds both for body lotion and also as cooking. Then I was curious, how is this possible? It's when I started thinking about studying something to that effect, and then I realized it was not in the mainstream chemistry, it was under food science. And food science is a discipline that has both the basic sciences and the applied sciences.
Interesting. So you just mentioned all your qualifications and where you studied. Now I just want to ask, you could have worked and settled in all the other countries you studied in because there's a huge market for it. What made you decide to come back home to Namibia and, set your roots here?
I just love Namibia, our deserts. And also the fact that this is the area that can really create employment. The food industry, whether it's fisheries, whether it's the field products, whether it's the agricultural, all those things need to be developed and marketed, and then an income can come from that and improve our economy.
Oh, great stuff. So what does a day-to-day look like for you as a food scientist?
Currently, I'm employed at the University of Namibia. I'm involved in training, research, and community outreach. So some aspects we are working with communities to understand their indigenous food products and perhaps see what can be done to those. Training, this is the basic sciences. Food chemistry, you are teaching. Food engineering, you are teaching. Food safety, food microbiology, packaging, just even making materials for packaging of food. All these things and the principles behind them. And also understanding the consumer. A food is only a food if consumers love it.
Yeah.
So what informs you to choose what you choose when you go to a shop market?
Interesting. Wow. Well, I just want to ask, for anyone that wants to, get into this industry, what requirements are needed or qualifications?
Yeah, in general, because as I said, it has many basic sciences. Somebody from food microbiology or microbiology can come the chemistry, at least biochemistry, but there is a qualification called food science and technology that really covers all these aspects that I mentioned, the chemistry, the microbiology, the engineering, and the safety, and the analysis of the food, both microbiology and chemistry. So all those aspects have to be there for food science to be active and deliver nutritious and safe foods.
Interesting. So what role does your job play in, food security?
Food security is another broad term.
Yeah.
And our aspect is the nutrition part component on that food security, the quality of that product, and safety of that product, that is where we come in. The availability is one, this is typical agriculture or field or fisheries, you can have the food, but the safety and the quality and shelf life of all those type of things needs to be ensured by a food scientist.
So for this job, what qualities does the individual need in order to be in this job market? Is it patience? You need to be patient. You need to think fast on your feet. What qualities does this individual need?
All those, and dedication and paying to details, because you have a consumer's life in your hand at the end of the day. So patience, paying attention to details, and really being able to analyze the data as they come in, whether there's a food recall, what could be the issue, should all the products that went out be recalled, or is it some of it? It impacts even the survival or the sustainability of a company if you make a huge mistake.
Yeah. So in what way can we support our local producers, especially during the troubling times that we're facing now?
We can do a lot, especially we have a lot of indigenous foods that are not yet developed to a market level. We have a lot of this. Go to our open markets. The food are there, but to a large extent, it's the quality that is not assured. When you have a mopane today or whatever traditional food, how is it such that you can have a consistent quality of that product? Why should we have just mopane in the form of a worm? Why can you not have it in a different form? A powdered soup. So all this is, I'm just giving that example, but there are various examples, especially from our indigenous food products.
Yeah, so there's a big debate about artificial coloring in food. How can we spot this, and what impact does it have in the natural value?
Yeah, that debate has always been there, and at the end of the day, eventually one needs to make a choice if you read the labels, whether you want a product that is an artificial or not an artificial coloring or sweetener, what have you. So usually a consumer has to make that choice. But to answer your question, especially with artificial intelligence coming up, those things, whether it will be morally accepted, you should be able to even tell with the artificial intelligence that is coming up in these centuries.
So what would you mention are the highs and lows of your job?
For me, being at the university, the highs are quite a lot, working with all these bright young people on a yearly basis. You get a cohort of this very bright, energetic, hopeful, and giving ideas, because you are not just there to impart, it's asking them, and they are giving you even the aspects that you are not aware. We are a diverse nation, such that this one will tell you, in our area we have this, how do we do this? That is enriching. The lows could be when there is generally a lack of funding into the equipment required to develop. You can't produce, you can't can a food without equipment.
Yeah.
And the food is so diverse. You have the meat, within the meat you have your poultry, you have your pork, you go to grains, you have your oil seeds, you have it's all so diverse, such that you are not just going to say, because I have a meal, I'm going to mill bones here, and I'm going to mill cereal here, and I'm going you still need so many equipment, even if they are doing the same job.
Yes, correct. So what sets Namibia's agriculture industry apart from others, and what products do you believe sets our country apart from all these other countries out there?
Yeah, our uniqueness is such that we have a huge land. Of course, we have challenges of droughts and generally our dry climate, but it also gives our uniqueness to even lead the world, because when people are talking about climate change and these effects, for us, that's what we live.
Yeah.
Already this country can tell the world that when you are experiencing these dry spells, maybe you grow these things that we grow because they are somehow adapted to this dry climate. And we hardly use a lot of this artificial hormones and so on in our products. That also gives it a competitive advantage.
Interesting. So, Komeine, apart from, being in your lab and testing out new things, what is it that you get up to when you have free time?
Oh, I'm a music addict. You will not be surprised. I play guitar, play piano, but also just listening to music. I go out driving countryside with open roads and just, especially our golden deserts, going to the sand dunes. I love that.
So, which genre of music do you prefer listening to the most?
I'm actually not even into a genre. It's the music that I like, whatever the genre would be.
So, currently, your favorite song that you have on repeat every time you step into your car or you're in the shower or whatsoever that's on repeat?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting one. I usually listen to some locals, such as Young T, The Dog, all those guys I listen to, but also internationally, whether it's the young ones, the Justin Biebers, I listen to all those rap and this, what is it, NBA? What is that boy's name? So,
NBA Young?
Yeah.
Oh my!
So I listen.
Can we get
plus
a bit of
the
do you know the words?
I wouldn't
I'm
want
testing
to.
the waters.
So yes, I'm a music junk.
Oh, interesting. You are a diverse man,
Yes.
and you appreciate anything
Yes,
of
whether it's
quality.
classic or you go to Pavarotti or Josh Groban.
You listen.
Yes.
Interesting stuff. Well, this has come to the end of our interview. Thank you so much for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you in newspapers or hearing from you. Do not become a stranger.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, there we have it. And now, it is the makeup artist, guys. So stay tuned. Do not go anywhere.